So, welcome back to the round number 3 of the GRENKE Freestyle Chess. New round, new position, and this time I was playing against around a 2100 guy again with this starting position. Not so natural like the position before. Bishops are weirdly placed. You need to really think about how to get them out. Not so easy. Also, the knights don't go to their natural squares. Interfering with some queen development maybe, and also the castling situation is quite interesting, as the long castle would be a very long castle here and the short castle would be a very short castle. So I was not familiar with any ideas here, and I just went move by move thinking what to do, and let's see what happened. He started b4, and I felt it's a bit similar to the first game where the queen was also in the corner and a pawn was moved. If I go the same, he might have all the pressure. If I just go one step, it's maybe breaking the symmetry a bit, but giving a lot of space, so I didn't like to do this either. a5, I again didn't like giving so much space. Also maybe just taking and getting a lot of time-gaining moves against my queen. Also didn't fancy this too much. So I decided to play e6. The idea of e6 is pretty obvious. I might try to bother the queen a bit, and I thought the answer is more or less natural, like going d3, trading those bishops. And now the more I looked into it, the more unhappy I was with playing bishop f6, as after takes, queen takes. It's so uncomfortable protecting this pawn, and I really didn't like to play something like this, closing in this bishop, being quite passive, and white has all the freedom in the world, all the space in the world, and I just felt this is pretty sad. So I thought I must get some advantage at something to get some counterplay. So I play f5. First I was worried about something like this, because white is gaining space, and the f-file doesn't bring that much to me, because if he sets the pawn structure with f3, there is nothing to gain, and at the same time I have lost all the center. However, after some thought, I was ready to meet this e4 move with some f4 ideas, which at least give me some space here and some control over the dark squares. And yeah, here I could live with the double-edged situation. I also have one tiny advantage. Of course, you can argue, is it an advantage? But I felt I have something to play for. Maybe he needs to watch out for some f3 later. But he didn't go for that. Instead, he played his bishop out here. I don't really have a choice that much. Rook f7 seemed passive to me, so I traded the bishops. f4 surprised me. I thought he would just trade. And after f4, I, for the first time in the game, had some hope, because I was seeing maybe he has weakened his king on this diagonal. It's not so easy for him to interpose anything. Like maybe rook f2 he can play, but then the rook is pinned and it might feel awkward. So I played a5, and I thought it's a good idea to tactically try to exploit this king. He took the a5 and I gave a check, mainly expecting rook f2 to be quite automatic, but he surprised me with his move, which I did not take seriously at all, which is d4. Now I thought he has weakened his light squares way too much. This hole on e4 is horrible, and I must have some way to exploit this with my knights, but the more I looked, the more I saw, okay, it's not so easy, and I really have so many options doing or trying it, and that felt like a bit overwhelming, and I did not find the best continuation. I should have gone something like knight e7, e3, knight e5 and c5. That's interesting, but instead I decided to route the knight to the e4 square. Also knight b5 might be an idea, but he was solid enough after something like knight to b3. Now, again, many moves. I could just try to develop, try to pick up one of those pawns, but yeah, it's not so clear if I will finally succeed. So I was preparing some natural play, I would say, developing pieces and getting some activity against this king. My idea was play bishop h5. So I trade off this stupid bishop from e8, and I'm ready to castle long. And once he plays something like e3, I will take, and after he recaptures, he will not be able to castle long. So I thought I might first open up his king side and then castle away while he is not able to castle away any longer. So that was my plan, but it was not as smart as it may sound. So knight 1 to d2 plate, g5. I tried to rip open his king side, tried to get the bishop to something like e3. But yeah, he responded well, I think. He played e3, took. I opened, and it felt like I softened up his d4 pawn, but it was not so easy to break through there. So now I made a very long castle and thought his king might be exposed on the g file, but at the same time my best attacker is still sitting on the other side of the board, and yeah, it's not so easy to really create an attack on the g file. He also castled, and now I a bit carelessly played h5, which is a bad move. I should just have developed with knight a6, preventing bishop b4. And after h5, I thought he can really not do much. I'm attacking this pawn, I might put pressure, I just pile up and I have a very good and easy play, but I completely underestimated his counterplay with bishop to b4. And now, yeah, bishop b5 might hit my queen. Also, taking is serious, his queen might get out, and I was not happy anymore. I played queen a6. I did not like to allow the trade on d6. And my plan was to always here hit something with a gain of time, then like finish the development and always avoid the trade on d6. Still, I have some hope to be better on the light squares, but things are not easy anymore. He played king h1, rook g8, queen c3. I consider queen c6 here, which more or less forces the trade of the queens, going to some endgame, but I was not really thrilled by this option that he can play d5 here, ruining my pawn structure. And realistically, I didn't see a way to be better in such type of position. So I played knight b5, asking his queen where to go. And if the queen, for example, went to d3, I might win the pawn here, as I threaten the exchange of queens. And after that, he does no longer attack this point here twice. So if this, I trade queens first, and only then take on d4, having won a pawn. However, he played queen to e3. I play queen c6 now, threatening mate in 1. He saw it, and now, yeah, I was playing the aggressive queen to c2. I took the pawn, threatening mate again, and I thought, yeah, I always can get out with a tempo move, trying to trade the queens, which he obviously doesn't want to do. And so my queen takes the pawn, will get out safely and stabilize on some square like d5. Now he blundered, but I didn't see it because I was too focused on getting out my queen with a tempo, but I could have won the game immediately with a simple fork. Queen c4 hits the bishop and the rook, and yeah, it's a bit shocking that I didn't see this, because it's like the basic tactic, two unprotected pieces and I could just have attacked them. But yeah, it once again shows that you should always reconsider your move. Have two options. If I had my second option here, not automatically went to e4, I would have definitely found this, but I just didn't do it the proper way. So queen e4, queen f2, and here was a point where I was struggling a bit. First, from afar, I was thinking, okay, I can take a second pawn, no trouble whatsoever. But then I realized, like, what am I actually getting by taking this f4 pawn? My attack is not getting any faster, and he might have some massive counterplay with something like this, kicking my knight, bringing rooks to the c-file, get some attack, maybe jump here, maybe throw this. And at the same time, I didn't see, like, how can I even create a threat? And this is so dynamic that those two pawns, they don't matter too much. What I should have done, we will see in a second. I played knight a6, which is fine. He played knight c5, takes. And again, this is the same story as before. If I take here, things are very slow. This is on the way. He opens up my king and brings all the rooks, and this is getting extremely dangerous. For example, queen f4, rook b2, a6, ba6, queen e2. And black can even easily lose this one now. Now there's a lot of counterplay, and I'm not even close to do anything with my heavy pieces against his king. A good move would have been h4, trying to soften his king, but I was not happy with h3, as I thought, okay, I might get the square, but where does it lead to? But after something like this, I am in control, and in some instances I might sacrifice the exchange here or there, so his queen cannot get to the attack so easily. For example, in this line, I think I'm okay because I can defend his attack. And I have some counterplay, my knight is pretty good. So, but that was not so easy for me anymore. I play queen d5, trying to consolidate and defend against the attack, and maybe like win later, I'm a pawn up. I also had some ideas like this. But soon I realized it's getting dangerous, because here he threw a6 at me, and the b file might be very dangerous for my king if it's getting opened. I was considering this line here, mainly a7. I can prevent the pawn from queening, but now things are getting very dangerous. Takes, takes, and takes. I wasn't sure how to evaluate this, but in fact I think it's just winning for black, because his pawns go nowhere and I'm a rook up. But yeah, I didn't see it all that way, the way through, and I'm not sure, so I didn't go for this. But in fact, he has a better continuation here. Instead of a7, he can play the crazy rook b5, which none of us saw, and white is in good shape. So yeah, I did not like to let the pawn to a7 though, so I took it, and I thought I have enough defensive resources to defend against his attack. So that's not completely true, but I have my resources, but in the end white should be a lot better there. Rook f to b1. I cannot defend passively with queen a8, as there is, for example, I think there are many moves. Knight e5 is something which bothered me, I think. It's taking away this d7 square in advance, and there are some ideas like queen here, take, and mate on b8. There are many winning ways though, I think. So I played d6, trying to run away with my king. And now he should have played bishop b6. I was expecting this and trying to answer with rook to g7, not rook h7, because rook g7 leaves the rook on the 8th rank protected, so that this line here just doesn't work. He does not win my rook here. But at the same time, I kind of underestimated under how much pressure I would be if he just went here. Now rook b8 is a big threat, as I cannot run, as c7 would drop. And probably I would have needed to, I think, go passive with something like queen a8, but it looks pretty bad. Such a passive queen, all the pressure ongoing, and so on. Still, it's a fight. Things can happen from here, but this wouldn't look so great. Instead, he played queen a4 and let me get away. I played king d8. And at this point, okay, this is way more difficult. Bishop d6, bishop to b6 would still have been very good for him. But this is so hard to see. Like, if you don't play the move before, when the bishop is untouchable, then you don't play it here. But in fact, like, c7 is the weakness. And if I take, my king is getting opened up. Instead, he went for the natural looking check, but now my king was getting to safety and I had no issues. Rook b7, rook c8. I'm protecting everything. His bishop is hanging. Bishop cannot go to b4, I guess. There are some issues with this rook. Maybe I can even take it immediately. As bishop d6, I can take with the knight and take the second rook as well. Might work. Also, there is just no threat, and I might continue something like h4, rook g8, and I'm pretty solid. You can check this out if you want. But he played bishop a3. I played knight c3, calculating this fork. What is there to calculate? Yeah, queen c2 is something. He might come in on the 7th rank, but I calculated this till the end, that after knight b1, only critical move is take, take, take. I play king e8, and he won't get my knight. And my king is pretty safe, despite it might not look very safe. So basically the only trick I need to avoid is that if he comes there with the knight, I need to be prepared, and I mustn't take, because I made it in one. But that's basically it. As long as I'm not getting checkmated on e7, there is no issue. And I'm not getting checkmated there as long as I keep my bishop. I defended my knight, threatening queen f1, and also bringing my queen back into the defense. And tactical point being, if he goes queen b8, I go there, rook is protected. If he takes my knight, I take his bishop, and I'm a rook up. Still, I faced some technical problems, and at some point he had one tactical shot after king f7. Things were first going quite fine, but after some two passive moves, I could, for example, have won immediately with queen h4, because queen g3 is a big threat, and I could just answer queen a8 with rook d8 and then start with the check. But somehow I thought I need to hide the king on its own and didn't see it clearly in time trouble, so I didn't go for this. Instead, I took this pawn. Still, I'm in control here, and I like this maneuver, going with the king to h8 so that I can answer the check with queen g8. For example, this queen g8, and threaten some mate on g3, and white would be lost. That's why he tried this one. Just wait. Now I still need to activate my queen. Might seem not that easy. So I first played the semi-waiting h4, trying to really fix the king there and improve my queen later. He checked me a bit, and then I defended the rook, queen d4, and now queen f6, queen b2. Now I should just have stayed active with my rook. For example, rook to f1 I think should be fine. Many moves possible. However, I decided to go rook to c8, which is very stupid, as the rook might be a target himself, and here he could have drawn the game with knight g6. It's not a clear-cut draw, but the idea is, if I step to the 7th rank, he picks up my rook. I might get the knight in return, but with this single knight for 2 pawns, I might not win the game. If I go to g8, he can trade the queens and then pick up my rook. So that's why this rook is so unluckily placed on c8. He didn't see this. He played a4, and after queen g7 he's lost, as now this knight g6 trick doesn't work any longer, as I can probably do both. Go either here. There is no check on the 7th rank. Might also go here, but I prefer king h7 as it doesn't allow any checks. Also, this doesn't work because after the queen trade, there is no fork any longer, as the queen trade improves my king. So he played a5, and here there is a mating sequence. It won't be his move again. If king h1, which I found the hardest way to beat, the hardest move to beat, I was considering this, and then look from there, already having won a pawn. But he made my life easier by playing king to g1, which is completely over after this, as I now can get in the rook, and also here I will get in the rook, and mate is inevitable. Let's quickly check after king h1 how to finish the game. Still need to watch out for some discovery stuff, but I was intending to play this, and what to do now. I could consider a check here, but yeah, this is actually a mate. Check. Check takes, all forced, and queen h1 checkmate. So I think I would also have found this over the board. Takes a bit longer, and yeah, at the end it also wins. So thanks for watching this game. It was very, very sharp with the opposite castling. Could have gone wrong also, but in the end I was happy to take the full point. See you next time.